Good day, folks. This is a directive. As of today, I've taken over the Azar University in Egypt. Before I tell you more about it, listen to what I have to say and why I had to do this. In Christianity, you have Jesus. Of course you do. That's why it's called Christianity. Jesus is the figurehead of Christianity. Jesus is also another word for saying, I, the mischief maker. In other words, Jesus is a man that causes mischief. Now, why would anybody do that to people that have faith? If I have a faith where I'm looking to something that is better than I am, that inspires me, like David inspires me, David Wayne Miller, why would somebody try to toxify that faith in me to see something as beautiful as we understand Jesus as being? Why would somebody use that word, like the word smart, what we've done already? What the word smart means is to harm people. Why would they do that? And that question is not a philosophical question. It's a question to say that this thing, whatever it created, is putting a drop of cyanide into my tea. I'm no longer going to question why that would happen. Only the fact what the cyanide is going to do to me. Eventually it will kill me. I don't care why those people have done that, because I'm not going to get philosophical. All I know is that they have tried to toxify my relationship with something that I feel is very beautiful. It's called a faith, which allows me to move into worlds and levels of creativity without me knowing anything about it. It's like you going into a pilgrimage without a compass. You know that exists in Christianity. You can look it up, and I've talked about it quite often. And that information came to me by Alpa when he did the research for it, which I released. So you know this wonderful expression that you want to have has already been toxified. And I've also spoke to you about how Christians seal their prayer with this word called amen, which you know by now means no man. So your spirit will never grant you that wish, that prayer said in sincerity, because it means no man, as in amoral. The equation always comes out, and that equation is to switch off what you and I call a spirit. You've understood that element of the Middle Eastern religions of faith in terms of Christianity, because he's your prophet. Let's move on before I tell you why I had to do this to this university in Egypt. Let's take Buddha. You know the narrative of Buddha, which is he was part of the principalities that lived in paradise, which is also another Middle Eastern language. And that paradise saw no predation, no suffering, so on and so forth, until this prince, part of the principality, looked over the wall of his garden, which stretched for miles, and realized there is another world, a world of suffering where people die of misery, of misguidance, lack of faith, and so on and so forth. So much so that the Buddha, the Prince Buddha, turned his face away from the principality and put it aside, saying that I will now enter the real world, as opposed to the engineered, protected world. And there I will do my search. And you know that story as being Buddha. and the wonderful things that he described after he passes away. After he passes away. Now remember, this principality, this thing with a title, like a prince or a lord, has given up all these titles and has left his paradise to enter the real world. On his passing, they give back to him the title of the principality called Lord Buddha. In other words, to say that thing that you turned your face away from, we're going to give that title back and take you back into the world of fiction. And all of those people that you recruited, because Buddha was Hindu, and that Buddhist religion, that Buddhist philosophy, that Hindu philosophy echoes through most of the world, including China, including Japan, Korea, which all follow Buddhism. India, Afghanistan, so on and so forth, even Pakistan, etc., which are only recent inventions. They took all of their followers and put them back into the position of servitude under the principalities, and they used his sincerity to give him back the title of a fiction man called Lord Buddha. When he made it very clear, he's left all that behind. You now understand that part of the world, and you understand the part of the Christianity element of it. There are others, but I don't need to go there anymore because I've made my point in those two. The Azar University in Egypt is the university that governs the printing, not the actual printing itself, the physical printing, but the authorization of the Quran. And it calls itself the Royal Edition, which is what you use, the Royal Edition. Royal means a principality. And they have done that through that university in Egypt, because they govern the teachings of what you guys call Islamic followings and the various Sharia laws. Did you know the treasury in this country is called, I beg your pardon, I do apologize, Shukuk. It runs on the principles of Shukuk. Shukuk is what controls your banking. No interest, and yet they do interest. Why would they do that to you as people with faith that wants to look up, as I do with David Wayne Miller, as well as an ordained minister, that I like this man Jesus. I like what he stands for. I love this thing called Buddha, what it stands for. Why was it toxified? And that's what I'm going to share with you now. You know, in Mecca, in your religion, in your faith, there is no hero worship. You know that. That's why you don't even celebrate his birthday, Muhammad's birthday. In that Mecca, you have a square cube that is surrounded by a black curtain. That is the curtain of a privateer. You also kiss a gigantic black stone, which you are forbidden to do, because there is no iconoclastic worship. I do beg your pardon of the listing of my words. Why would they do that? That particular stone that you kiss is the ring of every privateer that they wear globally. They wear that globally. That signifies obedience to a privateer. You are aware of the casus pirates. Let me just gather my thoughts as I do my best to explain this in the most diplomatic fashion. You have in your culture called Berberi pirates. Berberi pirates are the ones that raided Europe to take slaves and spread them over the Middle East. They blamed it on the white folks, as it were. Why would somebody do that? These Berberi pirates all wear that ring. That ring is also portrayed in a movie called Pirates of the Caribbean. In fact, most pirate movies that you watch, that's the ring. That's the ring that you kiss to show your obedience to a privateer. These privateers operate globally. Now, here comes the Quran itself. The university itself, what it does, it makes the changes in those Qurans. And they have the audacity under your noses, just as this word smart, as the word is so toxic to Christians called amen. They put that in there in order to make the modifications for you to get to submit to a privateer. All of these things that I have told you is factual. If you go to my website and you go through the resources, you will see a document called the Committee of 300. And there you will see the word Prophet Muhammad and his bank account. You will also see other gods' bank accounts that have anything up to 250 zeros in that bank account. And that document is from the UN Postmaster General's library, which I have access to. Do you understand? The same thing that is happening to the Christians is happening to you. The same thing that is happening to the Buddhist is happening to you. The same thing that is happening to the Americans is happening to you, vice versa. All of you have a common enemy in your life that wish to take your faith away from you and submit to these privateers. You have a common enemy. Go after them. They have no business in your world. Because of that, the directives to this university is that I will, through the process of regaining people's faith, give them instructions as to how to educate you, especially when it comes to things like circumcision. I will express this in this way. You know and I know that the Creator creates, and his creation is perfect. You understand this. However simplistically or sophisticatedly we understand it. You know this. The baby that is born as a perfect creature, not being. Being is a corporation. As a perfect creature. And yet, something wants you to circumcise, in other words, mutilate the Creator's creation. To cut something away, just like with the Jews. To cut something away, to mutilate and undo creation itself. With the Hindus, their witch doctors, this is all run by witch doctors, would actually protest when the British came in and said, you can't throw widows onto burning flames. They protested until the British general said to them, in our culture, when you do things like that, we will throw you into the fire. They ran away. The witch doctors and the privateers that the privateers and the witch doctors that work for these privateers have toxified our world so much They got us doing the very opposite of what we should be doing. And you know this from your heart. You know this from your gut. And if you're into logic, you know that logically, because I'm giving you logic. That is why this royal edition, which is the Quran that you follow, I have taken it over in order to protect the integrity and the faith of the people. Because once you lose your faith, they take full custody of you. I do not know how to express that final thought.
I think I know what it might be.
What would it be?
Are you talking about the subconscious mind when you asked?
So, they already have that information at hand. You see, I have to handle this so delicately as not to attack. Yeah, because when you take a man's faith away, it's a raw, very bad, raw thing to do. They've conquered Christianity. They've toxified Christianity. They've toxified Buddha. Yeah, they've toxified virtually everything. They've toxified the Americans. They've toxified the airwaves, the radio stations, the mutilation of children. This is what I want to say, and it has to be challenging on the Muslim people, because they went through a lot with this anti-terrorist legislation, which is an act.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, which means that they got actors to act out these attacks. Terrorist attacks, okay? Yeah. And they blamed it on the real Muslims to subdue them. It was run out of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, in these countries as well. Okay, now, but that's not exactly what I wanted to share with them. I wanted to think about something. If I am being genuine with you, that we call that genuine. Okay, that means that I don't have any ulterior motives. If I say that I'm being authentic with you, which means I'm being original. Okay, so I'm doing something that has not been done previously that we know of. If I say to you that, you know, my producer here is a genius, you understand that. That means that he's operating at a level that is far harder for the conscious mind to understand. The workings of a genius is very hard to understand. If I say to you that Janine has generosity, yeah, you understand that she's willing to give you things, and the world, she's very generous with her words, with her time, with her money. You understand this. You all understand this word very well. And you know, the alternator on your bicycle generates. You understand what generates means? That means you put something in and it gives you something of great value. That's called a generator. All of these words, ladies and gentlemen, comes from the word called a genie. The genie that lives inside of a lamp. That genie is what your religion and the privateers have got you to believe, that it's an evil spirit or a good genie or a bad genie.
Jinn.
That it's called a jinn. The jinn and the genie are one and the same thing. The genie that generates, the genie that is genuine, the genie that is generous, the genie that is a genius is what we're dealing with. That part of you that you call your spirit, that has a commune with the Creator. That's why they get you to believe never to go anywhere near or think about the genie. Everything that I have told you can be qualified by you with logic, rationality, or the research that being presented to you right now. And that's why that university is now under my directives, and the Quran itself has become my property. Thank you very much.